The dwarven families are preparing for war. But oddly, Zweihard seems to be left out of most of the strategizing and preparations. So he takes matters into his own hands and does some divination. The result is troubling, speaking of danger from the east and misfortune on the horizon. His brother also assigns him a task, to go and treat with the dwarves of Faldur, in order to bring them into the fold. Ever the dutiful brother, Zweihard acquires and loads up his goats and heads to the east. He encounters several dangers along the way, but manages to avoid bloodshed, until one day he finds a cave that has been carved by someone or something and decides to explore further. As he descends deeper into the caverns, he hears the gibbering of goblinoids and proceeds cautiously. He finds a band of goblins performing some kind of strange ceremony in front of a group of captive halflings. Zweihard cannot stand for such injustice, and so attacks, first unleashing his magic to give him an advantage, and then with steel. Zweihard wins the day and frees the halflings, though he comes out of the battle battered and bruised. He learns that the halflings were travelling with the cleric of Seor, whose body Zweihard found many weeks ago. The halflings tell him that they are on a divine quest to find mithril veins somewhere in the region, as a great evil is awakening in the east, and mithril is its weakness. As they have failed in their quest to find the mithril, they tag along with Zweihard to Faldur, where they can take a ship home. The journey is uneventful until they almost reach Faldur, where they are ambushed by some sort of cyclops that bursts from the very earth beneath their feet. Zweihard summons a dust devil, entangles the cyclops, and he runs for the hills. Once he gets to a safe distance, he looks back and observes the cyclops digging up other cyclopses buried beneath the earth. When he reaches Faldur, he quickly arranges an audience with the Dwarven Council. How will the council receive Zweihard? What is the true threat from the east? What is the multiple of Cyclops? Let's find out now on Dicing with Death.
Hello everybody and welcome to Dicing with Death. How are you doing today, Ryan?
Doing well. How about yourself?
A little bit older, a little bit better.
Oh yeah, happy birthday. Did you do a birthday stream yesterday or something?
Yeah, we played some Warcraft 3 and some Heroes of the Storm for a while.
Oh, okay, so the
Just
viewers have already made fun of you for being an old man.
So we can. That happens on a daily basis, regardless of how close my birthday is.
You kind of bring it upon yourself. You were complaining that you're sore not from running, but from running around.
Yep.
just from going about your life. You're feeling it today.
Yeah, I think I sprained my ankle or something. Maybe not sprained, but it's been hurting all last night and this morning.
I stubbed my toe so bad yesterday. I think I'll save y'all from like getting it on stream. It just turned all purple and bruised. And nothing is broken, but
right, confirmed old man.
What?
What? Huh?
Even a young person can be grievously wounded from toe stubbing.
I don't think so. I think only old people are wounded by that.
Well.
Yeah. So here we are.
We jumping right into it.
I don't know. Do we have anything else that we need to talk about?
I don't think so.
Anything else happened in your life?
I don't like telling stories about my real life. I like telling stories about dwarf lords. So here we are in Faldur.
There we go. Here we are in Faldur. If I recall correctly, it is kind of late.
It is late. It is after sundown.
Mm-hmm.
And I came into the city out of breath after a long journey, and I think requested immediate audience with the with the lords, with the lord or his representatives or whatever.
Yes.
It's a bit of an emergency.
Yes. Did we give the name for the lord of this place yet?
I don't think so. I feel like I might have asked and you didn't have it in your document and you were like, I'll take a week to come up with a really great name.
Yeah.
And let's
I wasn't sure if I had said it or not.
If you actually did take the time to come up with a great name. No?
Well, it's the Bloodstone family. You can decide if that's a great name or not.
Bloodstones. Mm-hmm. All right. Ominous. And I believe we dispatched a messenger up to the keep, and my short little legs follow after.
Yes, as quickly as they can. Thank God for those human messengers. Just the sort of animals you need. Where is our... So you head to the keep at the center of town. Here it is. That's the track I'm looking for.
Shall we get a narrative description of Faldur? I think we got a little bit about.
Right.
Passing into its walls.
Yeah. But, so I'm gonna doodle
what's the keep like
on the map just a little bit here. Faldur is sort of like a slanted town. Let's scroll up just a little bit. Let's see what's going on. So you'll have like your ocean over here, and the town is sort of built into a hillside, and there are like walls that run along the hillside as well, but it's all sort of angular. And most of the town, well, maybe about a third of the town is visible on the surface, and then there is like underground components to the town as well that are numerous and sort of hidden. You have to really be a resident who's been here for a long time to be able to find your way about, because there's always, this bar and this house used to be owned by the same person, so they built a tunnel and connected them, and then, one of them gets sold or destroyed, but the tunnel stays. And so there's all these weird underground passages kind of going all through the town, like an ant nest or a beehive or something. Yeah. So the surface of it are short, squat, sort of ugly buildings, maybe 2 or 3 stories at the very, very highest. The keep itself is only 3 stories tall, at least above ground. There are a few watchtowers near the top of town that would kind of peek up, that sort of are the exception to this 2 or 3 story rule. But they allow people to get a good view all about of incoming ships and trying to see over the tops of those hills out into the Hemderkos area in case there's monster attacks or something. So that is the sort of feel of the town, if you'd like. Tile roofs, red tile roofs, white stucco walls. Yeah.
Lovely. Mm-hmm. Lovely. So where is the keep in town? So it looks like I probably passed one of these watchtowers on the south gate.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Into town. We talked with the guard last week. Mm-hmm. Or just a moment ago, right?
Just a moment ago. You're leaving him right now.
And heading to the keep, which is where? Is it obvious to me, or was I given directions?
It's not going to be obvious late at night. You will be given directions, and you can sort of follow the running child. I think his name is Wart. Before
at least the general direction before I lose him.
Right.
In the city.
Right. But it's not. As I said, it's not that big of a city. The keep is one of the few 3-story buildings. So eventually you will make your way there. Your stubbornness will persist until you find the keep.
Is the keep in the center of town?
Mm-hmm. It's not like dead center. It's a little bit towards the top of town.
Does it have its own inner wall, or is it just a large stone structure in the city?
Just a large stone structure, no inner wall around it at all.
Although there's likely the bulk of the keep is likely underground, right? So this is just the main entrance. Mm-hmm. The earth itself is the walls of the keep.
Exactly.
All right, so I approach. Would there be somewhere to stable my goats?
Absolutely.
Near the keep? Like I'm walking up, is there a stable on the surface?
Yes. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit off to the side. And as you approach, you notice there are a lot of donkeys, very few horses, actually. And there is a single griffin stabled here as well. Sort of looking at either side at the donkeys.
You can stable a griffin amongst horses?
No horses, just donkeys. Okay. Yeah. If there was
donkeys
a horse,
are
it would eat
basically
them.
horses.
I mean, you're basically an ape, but we recognize the differences therein.
I think I'm technically an ape. Right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you?
A great ape, right? The greatest of apes.
I think we split from great apes, and we are our own thing now.
Well, some of y'all may have.
We can't all be
right.
silverback gorillas, Ryan.
You know, I'm very insecure about my graying.
Oh, and that's not even what I meant.
I'm joking.
Okay, all right.
That's totally what it means, though, right?
I suppose.
They've changed the Roll20 icons. Oh no, how confusing.
What icons? What?
Maybe not. The ruler. There's like now
Oh my god. I didn't even realize.
I guess that's all that's changed. There's now
Snap to
rulers that
center.
snap to the grid or whatever.
Oh. Okay, well, we don't have a
Ooh,
grid,
you
so
can
it doesn't
show and
matter.
hide. Cool.
That's pretty sweet.
So yeah, I guess I walk up and approach the stables. It sounded like there's no. Was there no guard out front? Do I see the messenger boy like on his way out, or is he inside?
He's somewhere. You have no idea where. There is a groom by the stables, and there are a pair of dwarves in plate mail with halberds standing near the entrance to the keep.
Okay. If I'm not greeted when I arrive, I guess I take care of the goats first.
The groom will help you stable your goats.
Is the groom dwarven or?
The groom is a dwarf, absolutely. And he seems to sort of already be ready for you as you arrive with the goats. He comes out to meet you and helps you put them away as if this is an expected thing.
Cool. Is exchange of coin expected?
No.
No.
No. These are governmental services provided to you free by the taxpayers.
Very well. All right. So I leave my goats. I guess I will, carrying my halberd, depart the stables and head towards the main entrance. Hanging from my halberd is the black and gray banner of the Black Steel clan.
Right. So you get to the gate where the entrance where the two guards are, and they'll stop you and ask you to disarm yourself before you enter in.
Is there? I assume there's like a rack to ceremonially
Yeah, there's like a little door, like to the side of the main entrance that like runs perpendicular. There's and they haven't opened it yet, but you're familiar enough with this system. There's like a closed off area that they can lock and unlock and store restricted items in. You'd also know as a dwarf lord yourself, or at least in a noble family, you could probably get away with like a ceremonial sidearm if you wanted. Your halberd will definitely have to go, but like a hammer, a sword, a dagger, an axe.
Yeah, I was going to say a battle axe is probably a ceremonial sidearm then.
Yeah.
Then maybe I wouldn't even have bothered, actually. I was thinking,
Okay.
they got halberds, I got a halberd, but I guess if I had left my halberd on the goats,
You could do that too if you'd like.
it wouldn't even have been an issue. But I guess maybe not. I don't have my etiquette proficiency, so I guess I flubbed this. And there's just this awkward moment where I've got this halberd with my with massive banner hanging on it, and they're like, "You got to leave that outside, sir."
Yeah.
All right, so we get the halberd somewhere. Does it wind up in their
Yep.
in their little armory?
Yep, one of the guards goes and locks it away very quickly. Assures you it'll be fine, don't worry about it. And they let you into the keep and tell you that you are expected. Go down the hall, it's the third left on your right.
All right, I enter Bloodstone Keep. What is the entryway like? Is it immediately into a great hall, or do I have to head down?
It's a hallway, and it's a weirdly designed hallway where it's like maybe 15 feet wide, and the ceiling's only like 6 feet tall, except in the very middle it like rises up to another like to a total of 8 feet. So it's like dwarf sized with like a little passageway down the middle that's human sized. So like humans could walk single file, dwarves could walk 3 or 4 abreast.
Wait, so the ceiling, there's like a hole in the ceiling where the human's head would have to go?
Yeah, the ceiling's
That's too funny.
It's a dwarven keep, you know? You gotta make it for the dwarves, but you kind of need humans in here. Fine, we'll just give them a little head hole to walk through, just in case.
Is there decor as I walk in? Like, are there statues of dwarves or ceremonial suits of armor?
Yes, there are statues of dwarves. There's a few statues of humans, but they've been like reduced to fit the same height as all the other dwarves. So they just like look like small people, or small dwarves or whatever, thin dwarves. And you'll notice that some of these statues have like red chest pieces of armor on them, while the rest of the statue is gray. So gray statues, gray. Oh, hey, this one's got like a big red chest plate, and so does this one, and then gray statues and gray statues.
Like an actual piece of armor or a stone?
Why don't you give me
carving?
A perception check while you pause by one of these things to inspect it? Do you
Yeah,
have a stonework or perception? Anything like that will do.
I have armor smithing. I don't have stonemasonry.
Okay, just standard perception check then.
No.
You know, the craftsmanship is surprisingly good. As you come up to it, you can see that the red section is definitely sticking out from the rest of the statue, and the paint comes just to it, but you can't actually see if there's a gap or not. This is either incredibly good stonework or incredibly good metal work that has fused these two things together and making it difficult to see.
Am I being escorted? Like,
No.
There were those 2 guards with plate mail. They just like took my halberd and then let me in.
Yep, and this hallway's long. It's maybe like 150 feet or so.
So I put my hand on the breastplate of this red breastplate and like feel it. Does it conduct like metal? Like, is it cold to the touch?
It is cold to the touch, yeah.
So I probably have to slide off a glove or whatever and touch
you can
it.
feel it. It does feel very cold. The heat conducts away rather quickly, but when you like tap it, it doesn't ring like metal. It feels solid like stone, but it conducts heat like metal. This hallway, as I said, is
all right. I
long,
continue walking.
Dimly lit.
Past a couple of nondescript doors, or are they ornate or anything?
They're not
Standard
too
keep.
particularly fancy. There's some words written over them, like one of them says East Hall, the other says Lavatory. You know.
Okay. And then I take the third left on my right. Is there a label above that door?
There is. It's a parlor of sorts. It's called the Purple Parlor.
The Purple Parlor. All right. Well, I pause before opening the door. I breathe deep. Zweihaard is probably weary looking after a long journey. Still wearing my armor. I think I have some sort of color, like a gray cloak or something of my house. But I think the holy symbol, the hammer hanging from my neck, will suffice as a sigil. And I've got a buckler probably just dangling on my shoulder or something, and the ceremonial battle axe at my side. And I push the door open and step into this the purple room.
The Purple Parlor, which is
the Purple
aptly
Parlor?
named. Yeah, there's some very comfortable chairs lying about. There's a large fireplace. There's a block or a stack of like carefully carved like 3-inch by 3-inch by 12-inch wooden sticks with some carving knives next to them. There's some flasks of dark-colored alcohol. And there is what is probably the Thane of the area, sitting in a comfortable chair. The Thane is pretty old, now that you're looking at him. He's probably in his late 200s, early 300s. His hair is wiry and gray and kind of unkempt. His beard is tightly wrapped and braided around itself, and the bottom of it looks like it loops back up to the top underneath, so it's not dangling too long. His eyes are sort of milky and weary. He kind of looks towards you, but they don't focus on you too well. And standing behind him is a single dwarf in no armor, but with a battle axe at his side.
All right. I think I take a knee before the Thane, and I could cross a hand in front of my chest or whatever a ceremonial dwarven bow is. A ceremonial dwarven lunge, and I bow my head. Thane Bloodstone, it is an honor to be in your presence. I am Zwihard Blacksteel. I pause for a second, and then I'll pick it up if he doesn't interject.
He doesn't. His head is just slowly nodding as you're talking.
I apologize for disturbing. This is all in Dwarven, by the way. I apologize for disturbing you at such an hour, but my arrival was quite rushed. You see, I came into town pursued by a sextet of cyclopi.
And?
I stand up.
Have they followed you to town?
No, I lost them in the hills, just perhaps a mile out. The giants sprung from the earth, just out of your gates. Is this a common occurrence?
Not common at all, my young dwarf. Not common in the slightest, but not unheard of. A sextet, you said?
At least 6.
6 or at least 6? Matters.
I saw 6.
Did they stop after 6, or did they continue to rise?
I saw 6. I saw 1, and then 1, and then 1, until there were 6.
You're part kobold, I see. I jest, young dwarf lord.
You know what they say about us Westerners.
Tell me.
Never mind, just a joke, the kobold thing.
You Westerners certainly do have a strange sense of humor, then. Or perhaps my ears are getting to me.
Well then, I wasn't... Perhaps it was the adrenaline. I wasn't sure if I should warn you of the...
No, you've done quite right. There is an old legend that predates me, even, that talks about the giants being planted in the ground like seeds from sprinkled by the goddesses. He looks like he's troubled by something, and after a long pause continues, we have a record, a story, mostly. I was told as a child, and I've since seen in the archives, of giants, cyclopses, really, springing from the ground well, there was no end to it. The story was cut off part way, but scores, hundreds even, of cyclops rising out of the earth itself, as if newly planted seeds, or oldly planted seeds. It is a strange legend, not thought to be true, but here you are, saying you've seen them rise from the earth.
Chat corrects me, by the way. I guess I don't have my holy symbol. I gave it to the messenger boy to signal my arrival. So hopefully it will be returned to me somewhere in here.
Yep. It will be. I think at this point, even the Lord Bloodstone, Thane Bloodstone, pulls out the amulet and holds it out before him.
It's a functional hammer. It's probably small and more decorative than anything, but it's a little
like a finishing hammer.
Yeah.
He'll pull out the finishing hammer or the smithing hammer and hold it out to you and said, I believe the young boy brought this for you, or of you. Please.
Yes, my symbol. And I step forward and receive it from Lord Bloodstone. The true purpose of my visit, I was sent here as emissary from the Western Thanes, but if you wish, we can speak of such matters on the morrow or something. I only disturbed you so urgently because of the Cyclops.
I am an old man. I do not sleep very much. Tell me your story.
Might I take a seat? It has been a long journey.
He motions to a chair, a nice, comfortable couch across from him, and kind of turns to his bodyguard and says a few words. The bodyguard will reluctantly go over and pour you each some late night liqueurs.
Dwarven spirits. Yeah, I have a seat in the on the sofa. Where to begin? Well, I'm afraid the news I bring is not much does not get much better from here. I bear many tidings of war. In the west, the Thanes have declared to march against the hobgoblins. And I suppose the superficial purpose of my visit is to invite you to join them. But my tale is deeper than this.
Oh?
It is not just the dwarves that ready for war. It seems red times are upon the Hemdercross Hills all. With my own eyes, I stumbled upon an Orcus iron forge. Not...
An iron forge?
I nod solemnly. Not 25 miles south of here.
He nods and waits for you to continue.
On my way to Faldur, I met a quartet of halflings. I don't suppose they made it to the gates. We were separated when the Cyclops burst from the earth.
I have not been informed of halflings' arrival, but were they significant?
They were they were from the east, a convent or monastery on the coast. They claimed to be servants of Seor, mine own lord. They were searching for Mithril. Said their father had a vision.
Halflings searching for Mithril. Hobgoblins at war. Orcs with iron forges and Cyclops rising from the ground. This is what you've come to tell me.
I nod. I warned you my tidings were grim.
Most certainly.
And as such, I have been sent by my brother, Einard Blacksteel, and the other Western Thanes to invite you to join them. on the march?
Against hobgoblins. At a time where the orcs surrounding my city are arming themselves with steel, and the very earth is coming to life. I am... I cannot help your people in their time of need if what you say is true. And I think you can understand that.
I do not ask you to help my people. I suppose my Einard would assert that the Black Steels need no help. But our troubles seem to be your troubles. The hills are well, a tinderbox ready to be lit.
Indeed.
Though we tangle with hobgoblins in the west, you have your orcs here in the east. Giants abound. Our enemies are the same.
Well, there's nothing to be done tonight.
No.
I shall have a servant escort you to a room that is being prepared for you. Take it easy, take a rest. I will call for you tomorrow, where we shall discuss further. What was your name again, young dwarf? Einhard?
Zweihard.
Zweihard, right. The second son. Is there a Tryhard? No?
He's...
Right. The bodyguard goes and opens a door, and there is a servant standing outside, a small dwarven girl. Probably in the late teens in human years, which would be the probably late 30s in dwarven years, maybe late 40s. And she'll give you a nice deep curtsy and take you to a guest bedroom, which is on the third floor.
Third floor, counting down?
Counting up.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Which has at least in the morning, we'll have a nice view looking over the bottom half of the city and out to the bay. And on a really, really clear day, you can probably see across the strait to the town over there, the coastline.
Well,
on a nice clear day.
Well, for now, it is dark.
You'll make your way there. The young servant girl will leave you, and it's a small, cozy room with a dwarf-sized bed and all the accoutrements you might need if you were a visiting noble. I think you go to sleep, unless there's something else you want to do.
No, I need to rest, so I will. I need to unload my equipment, doff my armor, and hit the hay.
All right. Zweihard goes to sleep.
I do have good berries, but...
Are you wounded?
Meh. Quite. Yeah.
Let me get some dice over here. And let me roll them.
I have to roll encounter checks even in town.
Yep. there could be rats in your room, Ryan.
Or Cyclops burst forth from the
From
the
out of the
ground.
bed. Yeah, the bed just like reaches over and grabs you, pulls you into its one big eye. So you will wake up the next morning. It is fairly still and quiet. There are a few birds chirping, but otherwise, nice, quiet morning. You're in a cozy bed, big, heavy, furry blankets on you, and a view of the ocean.
I gaze wistfully out the window.
Mhm.
It appears to be a beautiful day,
Mm-hmm.
despite all the trouble in the hills.
You can see people moving about in the town, most of them dwarves or halflings. There are, the few humans that you see are easy to spot because they tower over everything. And the humans mostly look like they're down near the water's edge, and up towards the keep is mostly dwarves. You've got time. As much time as not as much time as you need, but what are you going to do? What spells are you going to
Oh, that's right. Let's see. I suppose it would be unwise to charm this guy.
Probably.
Oh, and I can't bless without more holy water.
Yeah.
Let's see. Still got Strength of Stone and Calm Animals memmed, I think. Looks like I don't have Enthrall, which is interesting. Ooh. Messenger's fun. Send little tiny animal messengers. Let's see. No, Moment only works on... I know I was saying that I needed some social spells for this, but it seems like I don't actually have that many that are useful.
Okay.
So I suppose it doesn't really matter that much. So what have I got? Strength of Stone, Detect Magic, Calm Animals, and I don't know. I need one more first level spell. It looks like Dust Devil and Produce Flame have been serving me well enough.
Okay.
Yeah, it seems like none of this is really going to come into play in town. So it's a good first level spell. What is it? Oh, wait. I don't think it matters. I'll just keep my entangle.
Okay.
And I will kill some time until I am summoned before the Lord again, I assume. And if I need to make another appointment, I will do so. But otherwise, I will just rest here.
No.
Is it easy to what does it feel like? Am I being kept as a guest, or do it when I wake up and want to break fast, do I like head out into the town?
You can poke your head out the door, just into a quiet, empty hallway. There's no guards on your door. It doesn't look like you're being restricted in your movements at all. And you can find the way out from where you are right now, so you could leave and come back in without any problems.
I guess that's what happened. So I guess I poke my head out my door and go wandering around looking for some food, because that's what most dwarves do first thing in the morning, right?
Yeah. You can smell it. You can smell the loaves of bread in the kitchen. And you can follow your nose down to the first floor, where there's a rather large and impressive kitchen set up with big bakery ovens packed full of bread. It smells like... Oh god, it smells like pretzel loaves, like entire loaves of pretzels. My god, what a wonderful thing. And, you know, you can poke your head in the kitchen and one of the people in there will pop up and see you and kind of walk over grumbling and, what do you want? Breakfast, huh? You missed breakfast, it's fine.
Did I really miss breakfast?
Yes, you missed breakfast.
What time do they wake up around here? I guess I was praying for a while, wasn't I?
Yeah. And they probably have just a weird schedule you're not used to. Anyway, they'll hand you a little serving plate, like one of those bedside things with the legs and the table that you can sit, put on you while you're eating in bed. They'll hand you one of these things laden with little bits of meat, little bits of bread. There's just like a gravy dish and a small, like, espresso-sized cup filled with whiskey.
What? Whiskey and gravy for breakfast?
Yeah, that's how they do it in Faldur.
Fair enough. Then I guess I will take this food and ravenously devour it wherever would be appropriate. Is there a hall, like a great hall?
Yeah, there's a great hall just across from the kitchen. You can see that there are still dishes left over from when other people were eating.
But
there's like one dwarf left who's like picking at chicken bones and looking at someone else's dish, and here's a little bit of meat left over.
I'll sit down next to him, or at the same table as him, probably a few ways over, because there's like dishes in the spots in between.
It's sort of a messy place. The young dwarf looks at you, a little suspicious, but when he sees you're just here to eat, he goes about scavenging the rest of the food. And I guess you have a bit of a quiet morning until you are summoned by a young dwarf who's been going around and opening doors and look. Where'd the guest go? Oh, there he is. Okay. And asks you to.
So you find me still in the hall. Now I'm the last dwarf picking at chicken bones and.
Yeah. You'll get brought back to a larger room, a little more formal meeting room. It's not quite a great hall or anything like that. It's just a slightly larger room with a big table on it and a map of the city engraved into the table itself. And then covered with something transparent so that you don't actually feel the grooves, but you can see the carvings in it. Some sort of like transparent enamel or something. And let's change the music. It's no longer sleepy morning music. Right. You're brought here. You recognize Lord Bloodstone, Thane Bloodstone, sitting off to the side in a rather large, comfy chair, leaning back in it, sort of relaxed. And a few other, what look to be officers, rather, stiffed back dwarves with their noses up a little bit. You can see various medals pinned to their chest. One of them even is wearing a sash. And the Thane, when you come in, goes, Gentlemen, this here is Einhard, son of Einhard.
Taking a knee.
He's the one who saw the giants. At which point the sashed dwarf will immediately pop in with questions like, "It was dark. Are you sure they were Cyclops?"
I sort of stand up and look at him. I guess I didn't really have a chance to even correct my name, but they can whatever. They can go on thinking I'm Einard. It happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Sure as the earth is stone. Cyclops. It was before sundown. Right around twilight. Myself and my halfling companions were making camp, not far out of town, when the earth beneath our feet erupted, and bursting forth was Cyclops. And as we scattered and fled, out came another, and another, from a hill overlooking our wrecked camp. I counted 6.
They all grumble at this for a moment, and a different dwarf speaks up with a couple of metal pins to his chest and says, "You could take us there. Examine the site. Are you well enough?"
I nod sternly. Of course. We may visit the site at your convenience. I've tangled with Cyclops in the west in 1s and 2s, but I've never seen anything like this. Never a group that large, nor Cyclops burrowing or whatever this was.
Too big to fit in the ground. It smells like nonsense to me. You sure you weren't drunk? It'd be understandable if you were, being a Western dwarf and all.
I think I recall the whiskey that they fed me for breakfast and wonder at these words. But nay, I had been on the road for some time and have been lacking for spirits. I was sober as Saor in the forge.
There's some nods of approval at this turn of phrase, and one of the others speaks up and says, 6. 6 is not out of the family size of Cyclops. 10 is usually what we see as max. This doesn't sound unreasonable, and 6 Cyclops are no match for our city walls. I am unconcerned.
Well then, I can take a contingent of you soldiers, and we'll see if we can locate the site.
There are some nods around.
Do you have? Are there any other questions, or shall we treat after this matter is dealt with?
One of the dwarves standing in the back, this one doesn't seem to have any medals or sashes or honors displayed on him, speaks up and says, You mentioned... Sorry. I heard that there was mention of halflings? What of them?
I freed 4 halflings from a goblin cage in the hills. And actually had encountered one of their party many weeks prior. They came here from the east on a prophecy from their cleric, who apparently had a vision. I shrug. A vision of, I don't know, trouble in the east. I thought he meant the orcs, but he seemed to think it was further than that, or deeper.
There's a bunch of head shaking around the table. One of the older dwarves speaks up, saying, "No, halfling prophecies are frequent and filled with fault."
They claimed there was a mithril in these hills.
A little bit of laughter coming from basically everyone at the table.
I think I chuckle along and yeah. We have a good laugh at the halfling expense, although in the back of my mind there are doubts.
Yeah, there are a few more disparaging remarks about halflings, and they're always so involved in the things that they're consuming, their alcohol and their pipe weed, and they've got prophecies all the time for everything, and none of them ever work out. Just a bunch of stoned little creatures. And I guess it's time to lead the dwarves to the site where you saw them. The Cyclops.
Let's hope I can find that. So I will retrieve my halberd and probably my goats.
Yes.
And assemble with this dwarvish. What is it that comes out? Is it like a little contingent of dwarven soldiers, or are all of these officers coming?
It's 3 of the officers from the table. The old one with the sash that spoke up, and 2 others that hadn't spoken yet, as well as a ceremonial bodyguard of 6 dwarves in plate mail, and 3 donkeys to carry food and water and weapons and extra bolts for the crossbows and extra crossbows. Way more gear than you could possibly need. And I think you will lead them out to the area. How far was it? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I think it was one of these hills, but...
Yeah, it wasn't too far, because you made it from there to the town that night.
A couple of hours. So I think it was just these last hills before the town, maybe a couple hours out. Yeah, I don't know what if I'm going to be able to find the site. We'll hope I can retrace my steps.
Yeah. Why don't you just give me like an int check or a perception check or some sort of thing to make sure you don't embarrass yourself in front of these dwarf lords.
Yeah, either way, I guess int is 12.
It's not a great chance.
Ooh, no, I don't think I can find it. Did they bring a tracker with us?
No, they were just going to rely on your keen senses. So you guys stomp about in the hills for a while, and there's a lot of muttering from the dwarves about, this guy doesn't know where he's going, and, maybe he's just full of craziness, and then someone else is like, no, he's the cleric of Seor, he's definitely telling the truth. I think it's probably a second day that you head out that you find it. No check required. The hills aren't that expansive.
Yeah, after a day, I began to doubt myself, and they probably dragged me in, right? They were like, all right, it's getting late, we gotta head back. I was like, I'm sure it must have been just over one more hill.
And they're like, no more hills, we're done. But the next day, you'll go out and find it after some concern that these might not exist. You'll find it eventually. And when you do, it's a little bit different, right? Before there was a couple of creeks running through, and you had made camp near one of the creeks, and the Cyclops had just come out of the ground beneath you. But as you're looking across this valley, there's not like just a couple little holes in the ground where Cyclopses have come out of. There are dozens, maybe 2 or 3 score, like unearthed graves, basically.
Do they smell of death? I guess.
Well, you're up on a hill right now looking down into this valley where you see all these upturned sections, 20 feet long, 6 feet deep.
Look, do you see those pits over there?
It's not 6, that's 40, 50?
It was 6 2 days ago. How are the goats reacting?
Pretty blasé.
Okay.
They don't seem to be too concerned.
All right, and I think my instinct is to head down into the valley and get a closer look. Did the dwarves?
That is their instinct too. I think you all head down into the little valley there and take a look at these pits.
Yeah, and here's where I approach the first pit and give it a good smell. Does it smell like death?
No, it doesn't.
All right. I'll start looking around, but I'll probably pretty quickly cast a detect magic. See if I can sense like the residual energies of something here? Like a Cyclops was summoned or spawned, or...
There is a faint aura of magic over all of these little holes, all these little grave-like impressions. And then there is a stronger aura of magic coming from an undisturbed area, maybe 40 feet from where you're standing.
Over here. And I like gesture them over to... Does it seem like an undisturbed patch of earth?
Yeah, I mean, there's some plants growing on it. It just looks like regular ground, but there's
okay, so it's not like a buried thing. All right, how deep does it? Or is it just like the whole area is?
It's like a 20 by 8 zone, roughly oval shaped.
But it's not like under the earth. It's like just like the zone.
I mean, it's emanating from the ground up. So,
yeah. What do they react when I'm like, this spot here?
They look at the ground. What about this spot?
It feels off. I like crouch down and put a hand on the earth and sort of sniff.
There's no scent to it.
I pretend like I am perceiving something though.
Well, what is it?
I take the butt of my halberd and I kind of like shimmy it into the earth. I don't know how deep I can wedge the halberd. It's probably got a metal end, right? Maybe
Yeah, you can probably
point
stick
on
it
the
in
butt.
pretty deep.
So I'll try and. How soft is the earth here?
Not particularly soft. It's been baked by the sun many, many times. So they watch as you sort of dig around a little bit, and one of the soldiers comes over with a shovel and starts actually properly digging here.
Yeah, poking the halberd some feet under the ground doesn't
provoke anything. Yeah. Yeah, so they start digging and digging, and maybe half an hour later, there's a pause as one of the dwarves pulls his shovel out and notices the end of it is bloody. And they all sort of take a step back and examine the bloody shovel.
The earth bleeds.
Well?
There's a giant here. I think I turn my halberd around and just wedge it point first into the hole, into the spot where the shovel.
It goes in with some small amount of resistance, and when you pull the spike on the halberd out, it is blood-soaked through and through. But there's no sound or reaction from whatever's underground.
Is the blood warm?
Yes.
What abomination is this? And I look around to the dwarven soldiers.
They've all gathered their weapons except for the one with the shovel, who is looking like, should I keep digging? And gets the nod of approval from the sashed dwarf. And the digging commences, and soon enough, you are looking at the sternum of a very large, some might call it giant creature, humanoid.
Is the chest rising and falling? Like, is it bleeding or breathing? Or
it doesn't seem to be rising and falling, but it is warm to the touch.
We unbury it. Detect magic has expired by now, but there's a 10% chance per level to determine the sphere.
Right. You are.
Oh, so not like the wizards, so the sphere. So I guess is this necromantic? Was it conjuring? Or, sorry, summoning or enchantment?
That would be the school. You're looking for the sphere, which would be
no sphere. Priests get spheres.
Right.
Wizards get schools.
Right, and you're looking for the sphere, right?
Yeah, that's all I get as a priest.
Yeah.
So I've got a 40% chance.
Okay.
To know. Yeah.
Let me look at what the actual spheres are. There are a lot of them these days. passed your check. There is... Where is it hiding? It is the Sphere of Time.
Okay. So I will remark as we uncover it, like the giant's blood is warm. It's still alive, but in stasis, locked out of time. This is peculiar indeed. And I guess, like, as a group, we proceed to excavate this Cyclops.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you go up from the chest and you get the whole face and mouth
is
and
the
throat.
Eye closed?
The eye is closed. There's no visible sign of breathing, but it's still warm to the touch. And that's when the Dwarf Lords assembled sit down to figure out what to do with the Cyclops in the ground. Do you kill it? Do you leave it? Do you bury it up again? Do you leave someone to watch it?
Do we drag it all the way back to Faldur to show the the Thane?
That's another option. What is your input on this discussion?
I'm somewhat measured. So when they're like, we should just stab it, I'm a little bit like, well, maybe we need to figure out what's going on here first. Mm-hmm. So I'm in favor of further investigations. Although I think, given the politics of the situation, I will defer to whoever the commanding officer or the officers to make the decision.
Okay.
So I weigh in, and I think I sort of steady the gung-ho dwarves that want to just butcher it.
Give me a charisma check when you give your input. See how well received it is.
Charisma is 10. New. So
yeah, they listen to your input, but they pretty much ignore it. You get the feeling that these Dwarf Lords are... They kind of see you as maybe like a messenger or a guide or something, and they're not really valuing what you have to say.
And they decide they want to kill it?
Yes, they decide to kill it, and they'll grab one of the halberds, or one of the soldiers with the plate mail will aim its halberd right over the creature's eye, and since it's buried like 6 feet down, he'll be standing on the ledge above it and just kind of leap off the ledge and drive the halberd through the creature's eye. Which seems like enough, maybe. They continue to stab it over and over again until they're sure it's dead, and then decide to pack up and head home.
How big is this creature's head?
Cyclops are 3 times the height of a person, so it's 3 times a human head. I don't know how tall a head is, but maybe 10 inches? 12 inches? So it's 30 inches high?
Yeah. How much would that weigh? We're probably talking 50 pounds or something?
Perhaps.
So as they go to butchering the creature, I think I will assist them in decapitating it and take the head with us.
All right.
So that means aim some blows at its neck, or when they're finished, get in there with an axe and saw through the vertebrae to make sure it's good and dead. I remove the head.
They watch this gruesome sight with a lot of quiet.
They were just butchering this thing.
They were.
All I did was join in and make sure the head gets removed.
Yep.
And I was going to bring it back with us to Faldur, but they seemed like even the act of decapitation put them on edge.
They seemed very surprised about this. I think you can tell that they still recognize you as a member of the Blacksteel family and as a noble dwarf in some regard. and seeing you like hop down and hack this thing to bloody bits with your own two hands.
The officers here didn't.
No, they let their foot soldiers do all the dirty work. So they seem a little surprised at how eagerly you jump in.
Especially since I was telling them we didn't necessarily need to kill it. We could investigate it further. But once the decision was made, okay, we've got to finish the job. I eventually join in, help remove the head, and then I'll ask the officers: shall we bring back evidence of our findings today?
There's a bit of awkward silence, and then there's just some slight nods, no verbal confirmations, but like, okay, yeah.
It's good for morale, right? Come into town dragging a cyclops head.
Sure.
So I strap it to the goats. Was I the only one that brought pack animals on these?
No, they brought a bunch of donkeys. Okay. And there's rope and all these supplies that they can attach to the head, and you can drag it back.
My goats ought to be enough.
But. Sure. So you drag this head all the way back into Faldur, through the city gates, to a slowly gathering crowd as people watch this head getting dragged through Faldur gates, through the streets, and up to the keep, where it's left outside for people to come and see, and not actually defiling the keep itself.
Yeah, of course.
When you get back to the keep, one of the officers here mentions that a cleric is around if you need to see your wounds tended to. There's a cleric of Martha in town, in the keep.
Are we meeting with the Thane, or are they taking care of that?
The Thane's he's off doing something else. He's busy for now.
Okay,
so I think
I'll go see this cleric. Go see this temple.
Yeah, it is a human cleric. She is down in the second basement floor, and there's a small temple there to Martha, the goddess of life and healing, all that fun stuff.
Greetings, Mother. The officers said you may tend to my wounds.
She nods, introduces herself.
I'm a bit surprised to see you down here. It's a bit dark for down here for your kind, isn't it?
Very, very dark. But it's where we are needed. The infirmaries are down here to give comfort to those sick and wounded. They feel more at home deep in the earth than above. So I go where I'm needed.
Yes, the light of the mother finds its way through even the tightest of cracks.
She nods and dips her head in a show of respect to your words, and will proceed to lay 3 Cure Light Wounds spells on you.
Maybe one of them is necessary. We'll see.
Well, we'll start with 8.
So I was at, I probably recovered 1 H. I guess I'll just keep what I had. So I was at 14 out of 27. So add 8, that will get me to 22.
And then a 7?
That'll bring me to full.
Oh, cool. Don't need the third one then.
The life of the mother flows through me. I am blessed.
The life of the mother flows through us all, young dwarf lord.
Tell me, have you heard rumors of what we've been doing in the hills?
I have not. Is it?
I lower my voice. Cyclopedia. Dozens of them. These are dark times, Mother. In the west, the western dwarf lords march to war against hobgoblins, and I've seen orcs smelting iron in the hills just south of here.
She looks a little concerned, but
dark times.
Nods along with it.
I think I've sat down. This is as she's tending to me. Maybe I'm overstaying my welcome a little bit, but I continue blathering. I'm like, on my journeys, I met 4 halflings. Well, once 5.
You get partway through the story when you hear bells, lots and lots and lots of bells ringing from the town.
What is that?
I don't know. She gets up and walks with you to the surface.
I guess we head to the surface. I was just getting to the part of my story that I actually wanted a cleric's opinion on, but I guess we were interrupted.
You are interrupted by all the bells in the town are ringing, and as you breach to the surface, you see guards running back and forth, grabbing weapons and armor, equipping themselves.
I stop one. I'm like, "What is it, man?
Cyclops,
what is it, dwarf?
At the walls!" And then he hurries off and runs away.
I knew it. Do I see any of the officers around that were with me?
Yes. One of the quiet officers, that was along with you.
I give him my best piercing "I told you so" look as I think we all probably, and then we disperse and go to our whatever positions.
She'll make and hold eye contact with you for just a moment and give you like a nod of, yeah, you were right.
And then I pull on my my helmet. Did the Cyclops have hair?
Yes, he did. Brown hair.
I needed that for my helmet, but I guess I'll come back to it after.
All right. We're gonna go to our first break here.
Yeah, sounds good.
And we'll be back in a little bit. It might be a longer break because I need to go grab some food. So like 10 minutes.
Sounds good.
See you guys on the other side.